So a few days ago, I posted this image of BJ Novak and said, yeah, this is what we're doing next. He is, of course, famous for playing Ryan in The Office. And how does he relate? Well, what does the BJ stand for? Billy Joel, of course. Oh, man. Yeah, I knew that was a stretch. Well, a little history on Billy Joel over here. Way back a couple of years ago when I first did my first Rank Your Albums video. Shout out to Scumbag Productions who gave me The Stranger. And I gotta be honest, man, I would like to retcon that first one and put you as the winner, actually. Because, don't get me wrong, Primus is great and all. But when I went back and looked at all those albums I did the first time, The Stranger is the only one I regularly listen to. I mean, Peter Gabriel and Elton John sometimes, but not as much as Billy Joel, man. Like, that came at number 4, but I think realistically it should have been number 1. It just didn't hit me as hard back then. So I'm sorry it's like 2 years late, but you're finally getting your Billy Joel video. I hope you're excited. I just saw him in concert a couple days ago, and when I realized that I knew most of the songs he was playing, I was like, wow, I'm a fan. Me and Huey from The Boys, he's a big Billy Joel fan too. So here we are. Let's talk about it, man. 13 albums. There's a bit, but let's just kick right into number 13. And oh my god, it's been a long time since I did a proper ranking like this as well. And his first album is gonna be my last place, and honestly, it's just cause like half this thing sounds like the Beatles, like especially the way he's singing it. You have Tomorrow Is Today, Why Judy Why, and then even a song like You Can Make Me Free even sounds like Freddie Mercury. You know, it's like a half hour, it's very short, and very little of it is beyond just him and piano. It's just not really for me, one that I would like really go back to ever. Although Nocturne was my favorite song because it straight up sounds like it's like a Studio Ghibli song. For the longest time. Whoa. Dude, the first time I heard Innocent Man and Longest Time popped up, I seriously just had like a eureka moment. Because we used to sing that song on like my middle school bus all the time. And I would do the deep voice because we were just ripping on the Family Guy skit. I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen it, but yeah, it's when they invented singing and they started singing The Longest Time. And I was, because I sounded like this all the way back in middle school. So I was like, longest, I did a deep voice. Yeah, I love that track. Longest Time, great song. Easy Money, also the opener, great ass track. Even before I knew it was supposed to be an homage to James Brown, I was like, yeah, this is some James Brown shit. And then I learned, oh, it actually is supposed to be that. But however, beyond those two songs, we have these two hardcore Walgreens core songs, which is what I call music that I had to listen to every day at Walgreens because I worked there for 4 years. So I heard these damn songs over and over again, and Tell Her About It and Uptown Girl were two of those songs, and I never want to listen to those songs again. So strictly just because it has those two songs, and honestly everything else is kind of poppy and also not really my thing. Because of those two songs, man, I had to bring it down all the way here because, I do not want to do those songs anymore. And then we're going to have his, probably, maybe his last album. I mean, I know there's like the symphony one where it's the instrumental. It was like from 2001 or whatever. But we're not talking about that one. River of Dreams, his last rock album. And like, it's fine. You know, all the songs are basically just kind of in that okay category. You know, like Minor Variation got a little soulful and was a good variation. Minor Variation, it's funny. Shades of Grey was a lot more of a rock feel. All About Soul was pretty decent. You know, like these three songs were like, they're fine, but nothing spectacular. Then we're going to have The Bridge, and honestly, a lot of his albums from this area are going to have the same story where there's like 2 or 3 tracks. I'm like, that's pretty cool, but everything else is just kind of whatever. The Baby Grand, him and Ray Charles' love song to the piano, it's pretty nice. Big Man's Okay, Running on Ice, I thought was the best song because it could just sound like The Police. That was pretty cool. Modern Woman was kind of boppy, you know? But yeah, like I just said, like this is where things just started to get down to 1 or 2, like 2 or 3 songs, but that's about it. And next up, we're going to have Stormfront featuring We Didn't Start the Fire, which he goes pretty ham in. I like how like by the end of the song he's like really getting into that like like the really graspy voice. That's pretty cool. Yeah, the title track is pretty solid. I really like the backups and the horns. It's a very full sounding album. I Go to the Extremes was also a pretty solid song, and yeah, that's about it. I like those songs a little better than the ones on the ones below, and that's why it's here. Oh yeah, I'm dead ass serious. Worst rock album of all time, my ass. Amplifier Fire kicks ass. I remember when I first learned about this album, I forget, I was like at a show and I overheard someone like in front of us talking, and they were talking about Billy Joel, like right around the time I was listening to him for the first time. How they mentioned how he did a rock or like a metal album before his solo career. And I was like, are you serious? So I checked it out, and yeah, it's kind of like, it's only about 40 minutes, and halfway through I'm kind of done with it, but like for what it is, it's kind of fun. Like I said, nothing really besides Amplifier Fire that really stands out, but if you haven't heard Attila, you should definitely check it out, especially if you're a fan of really hard rock and Joel. Streetlife Serenade, pretty solid. You got Los Angeles, whatever. It's a pretty solid song. Great Suburban Showdown, I really liked, but to be honest, the organ lead part in that song makes it sound like Animal Crossing. And then he's got the Ragtime song. Anytime anyone pulls out a ragtime track, it's always great, you know. So even when ELP did it in whatever album that was, Ragtime's just a lot of fun. Entertainer obviously is the big song on here. Still kind of in this okay category. Maybe even a little Elton John-ish in some aspects, but you know, pretty solid still. Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. First up, we're going to have Piano Man, the all-time classic. Traveling Prayer is just such a major jig. Like, you get like the brush snare, the banjos, and the violins. Like, that's just such a great opener. The ballad of whatever, I thought it was going to be, if you know who the Ink Spots are, all their songs start with the exact same riff, and I think that's what this song started with, or something that sounds very similar to that. So that was interesting. Then we have Cat and Jack. That's a pretty nice little epic. And then, of course, you have the title track, which I can't help but sing the Weird Al version instead every time I hear it. Sling me a web, you're the Spider-Man. Sling us a web today. It's too much fun. And yeah, it's definitely an improvement over the first album. But I don't know. I think maybe kind of like The Stranger, and maybe after a few listens, it would click with me more. But as of now, the other albums I just think are better. The Nylon Curtain, written to be a musical masterpiece. Was it one? I don't know. But Pressure is pretty solid. I really like the keys post-chorus. It's just such a cool little melody. Yeah, it's definitely his most ambitious and epic album. Like, especially when you get to a track like Scandinavian Skies. It's like I didn't dislike any song. It was very good, but I don't think it's like the most re-listenable song or re-listenable album, as opposed to everything else above it, where like you could pretty much just go through it any time. I don't know. This one just takes a little bit more out of you. Glass Houses, there was several tracks of his that I heard going through that I just never realized it was him. What is it? Yeah, You May Be Right. Never knew it was Billy Joel, and it's a great song. So I was like, wow, how about that? Even same thing with Still Rock and Roll. Never knew it was him. So 2 very big bangers on this already, and then we get a song like Sometimes a Fantasy that sounds like something the Cars would write, and that was pretty interesting. And yeah, it's just everything compared to everything below. It's just a little more rockin'. I mean, I guess this was, 70s and like early 80s Joel, where he was more rock versus the pop stuff that came later on. Yeah, like a lot of great tracks. The ones I mentioned, Close to the Borderline, Sleeping with the TV On, and All for Elena. Like, there's just a lot of really good songs on here, and yeah, it's a pretty good album. Seriously, can he look any more like Rocky in this album cover? 52nd Street coming in number 3. Big Shot, once again, never knew that was him. The only Billy Joel song I thought I even knew was Moving Out and Piano Man, but apparently there was way more. Although there's like this in the second chorus where he starts to go like Big Shot, like he sings it really funny, and that's interesting. Zanzibar, like the way that song goes from like a Billy Joel song to just a straight up like jazz club twice is so cool. That's a very interesting song. I just love the way it breaks down and just straight up goes jazz. It's a great song. Stiletto, the little sax solo in that song was pretty damn cool. Yeah, the way Stiletto starts with that on the sax, and then the little keyboard notes, complete with like the drums and the claps. That's another great song. Definitely my favorite song on there, Stiletto. Then you have Until the Night, which sounds like a song you would hear in church, and that was the first song that I was like, don't really like this one. But this was right after Stranger, so we have 3 albums left, and all 3 of them came out one after another. So there's like these 3. Even Glass Houses was the 4th one. So these top 4, but mainly the top 3, are like boop boop bop, very good albums. And this one was like the dessert. This is the dessert of this main Joel 3-course meal, as you would call it. I'm in a New York state of mind. Yeah, Turnstiles feels like the appetizer for the bomb-ass thing that was about to drop. Because we have Goodbye to Hollywood, fantastic song. New York State of Mind, also a very great song. Like, all of his long songs are just always great. He's very good at writing like the long epics. Like Angry Young Man sounds like a mini version of Italian Restaurant. It's just really solid. It's just going through the whole thing. It's just a very, very solid album. And then now we finally get to talk about this one. The Stranger has straight up made its way into my top 20 albums of all time. This Scumbag Productions once said, I just wanted to give you this great album, but I don't think great really captures how good this album actually is. Like, every single song is fantastic. We start with Moving Out, which, I knew that song previously. Very iconic with the Cadillac, you ought to, it's just such a well written record, how and well produced. Like, just the way everything is mixed, it just sounds so perfect. The title track, like the whistle beginning and the outro, is just so pleasing to listen to. And then even the verses with that, riding on the hi-hat and like the lyrics and everything, and then the two toms leading back into the verses. I always love that. Just the Way You Are. I mean, there's a couple of these, like, Just the Way You Are. She's Always a Woman. And like Everybody Has a Dream, I would kind of lump into this, like, just feel good songs that are just meant to make you feel nice, I suppose. And then we have Vienna, which Vienna Waits for You. It's just a very iconic singable track. Get It Right the First Time, honestly, would probably be my least favorite song, but like, it's still fine. Only the Good Die Young, big choruses, big like string sections. And then of course we have Scenes from Italian Restaurant, which I think even he agrees is his best song, because just everything about it is just great. The lyrics, the melodies, the Anthony Works, whatever the fuck the lyrics are, I don't even know, but just, it's good. It's a very, very good album. That's it. Enough said. Well, everyone, that's it. This is it. I can't believe I'm moving again. But yes, I'm moving. This is my last video in this room. The next room is not going to be as musical as this one, but it's whatever, man. I have to leave. So, I guess that concludes season 4 of DK Media over here. Every season is every time I move locations. Season 1 was me in my old room with all the posters in the back. Season 2 was my apartment. Season 3 is when I would move back to the OG room, but there was nothing on the wall. Whatever, man. We're changing locations again. That's the main reason why the next Raker album is going to take a little bit, because the next week is going to be kind of crazy. So, 56, I'm 4 down, 52 left to go. It's going to be pretty solid. But, yeah, it might be kind of slow on here because, obviously, like I said, I'm leaving. So, until I see you again, listen to The Stranger. Fantastic album. And thank you once again to Scumbag Productions.